Today I want to talk about movies that feel like fall. So let's get started.
Welcome back, sir. All systems for gaming will be prepared in a few minutes. For now, feel free to grab a cup of coffee and have a good day.
Hey everyone, Mike here. Welcome back to the Marvel Man Cave. And today I want to talk about movies that feel like fall. I don't know about you, but it's hit November now. It's not quite Christmas, so it's that weird season, at least here in the Midwest, where the leaves are falling, everything's changing colors. You just feel like cuddling up on the couch with a blanket, your special someone, and maybe a cup of coffee or bourbon, scotch, depending on the level of warmth you're looking for. I also like to cuddle up with a good movie that just kind of feels like fall. Today I thought I would go over 10 movies that for me I watch every fall, along with a couple other ones that I am waiting on to arrive that I'm going to mention. So we'll make those honorable mentions since I don't have the physical disc as of yet. But I'm going to start off with V for Vendetta. And anybody who's seen this movie would know why this is in here. Obviously, remember the 5th of November. I know it's already past the 5th of November by the time you're watching this, but this is a movie that, even though it doesn't really, I would say, give you the fall vibe in the way some of these other movies are going to, it's just kind of because of that line. You always feel like watching it on November 5th, and I did again this year. And this Steelbook that I got, ironically, I got from a yard sale when my wife and I just kind of randomly went and got it. And I already had the 4K disc of it. So what I did is this was the Blu-ray, so it already came with the Blu-ray, and I liked the Steelbook, and I got the Steelbook for $5 because I don't think the people knew. They just were listing all their Blu-rays for $5. But what I did is I bought one of these like little hubs and put it in here so I could put the Blu-ray disc in. Obviously, this is the Blu-ray, and this was the 4K I had, just to give myself, the V for Vendetta Steelbook, because I absolutely love this movie. Like I said, I watch it every year. November 5th is just kind of an excuse to watch it. It's a good enough excuse. What more do you really need? And speaking of November 5th, you can't have November 5th without Back to the Future. Again, another movie. You got high school dances. It's kind of homecoming season. It's just Back to the Future. November 5th is the date Marty travels back to in the original. It's a fall movie. Again, I know October 21st is a lot of day that people celebrate Back to the Future Day. It's always a good excuse to watch it. And I watched it around that time, but it's another movie that every fall I just kind of start to get the urge to watch this, and generally end up watching Back to the Future 3. Sometimes I skip over Back to the Future 2 because I think I prefer Back to the Future 3 over 2. I just like the Western feel of that one. It's just, for some reason, that scratches a niche for me. But Back to the Future is another fall classic. Another one that always makes me think of fall is Vanilla Sky, the Cameron Crowe, Tom Cruise, Jason Lee movie. This, to me, I love this movie. I'm a big fan of Cameron Crowe in general, but I bought this version of it because honestly it was available and it was probably on sale at the time. But it comes with all the stuff, kind of this Paramount Presents slipcase. I have a couple of these. This is the way the inside of this one looks. But this is a really enjoyable movie. I really enjoyed it. Again, it kind of has that cold weather, obviously New York, Manhattan, and as a guy who used to live on the East Coast and used to visit New York at least several times a year, and really did enjoy New York in the fall and the winter, this just kind of reminds me of that time and that feel. It's a very cozy movie and just kind of makes you want to feel a little warm, bring that blanket up a little bit closer. Another movie that I always think about when I think about fall is Remember the Titans. It wasn't until a couple years ago that I was thinking about why I always get the urge to watch this movie around October, November. Obviously, the football thing. Football season in America here starts in September. College football season is in full form. NFL season's about halfway through the season. High school football is playing, so it's just kind of a good feeling to watch these movies. This, to me, might be, I think, my favorite football movie of all time. Maybe 1B, because the other one's coming up here in a second. This cast is outstanding. Obviously, Denzel Washington. I think it's Will Patton. Will Patton's in the movie. I realized the other day, I don't know why I never realized it before, but there's a very, very young Ryan Gosling, which has got to be one of his first movies, in this movie as well. I think it's just a great cast. It's a fun movie. heartwarming tale, a little bit heartbreaking as well. Fantastic football movie. And obviously, with the football vibes, it feels like fall. And I can't talk about my favorite football movies or fall movies without mentioning Rudy. This, if Remember the Titans isn't the greatest football movie of all time, this one is. Rudy is absolutely fantastic. It will make every grown man cry because if you have any kind of heart and you watch this movie, true underdog story. If you don't know the story of Rudy, it's based on a true story. Rudy Rudiger was 5 foot nothing. I think 100 and nothing. It was as the actor who Charles Dutton. That's the one I was looking for. Charles Dutton mentions to him in this movie. But through sheer will and determination and honestly heart, he makes his way on the Notre Dame football team, which at that point in time was an absolute powerhouse, and it was the elite of the elite players on those teams. Makes his way onto the team and gets into one play at the end of his career. It's an absolutely fantastic movie. Obviously, it's got the fall autumnal vibes in it because it's football season. It takes place in Indiana. It's a fantastic movie. Another movie that I'm not sure when it actually takes place, but Good Will Hunting makes it feel like fall to me. I mean, even the cover of the Blu-ray, it's got the browns and the yellows. It's just got that fall vibe. Everybody's wearing a jacket in the movie. I know it takes place over probably several seasons in the movie, but obviously it's just, I mean, it's Good Will Hunting. It's one of the best movies of all time. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's just something, again, that East Coast vibe of the fall. Obviously, this takes place in Boston. It's just kind of got that vibe. I would say the Elliott Smith song and the soundtrack in general, the Elliott Smith song at the end just feels like fall. I always get in the mood to listen to Elliott Smith and Nick Drake in the fall. So I think that probably helps with that fall vibe as well. Really love watching this sometime in the October, November season. And another one with Robin Williams is Dead Poet Society. Again, one of my favorite movies of all times. I think it's the school vibe that comes with like Good Will Hunting with the college setting and Dead Poet Society with the high school setting. That just kind of makes it feel like fall. But I know a lot of this movie, they're running around in their Navy pea coats and stuff like that as well. Like it's just kind of one of those movies that just it evokes that feeling. And I don't know, maybe it's the school, like I said, the school setting is one that just kind of makes me feel like it. But again, another movie that just kind of makes me want to, this one makes me want to sip on a scotch and watch this movie because you know how it ends. And oh, Captain, my Captain. And while we're talking about fall movies in a school setting, one that I do not have that I used to have years ago on DVD that I'm really looking to rebuy, but I have to look it up. If you know this movie's available on Blu-ray, definitely let me know in the comments. But it's the movie With Honors. It's the Brendan Fraser, Joe Pesci movie. I know there's a couple other people in it whose names are escaping me right now. I'll put the cover of the DVD up here in the corner. But it's one of my favorite movies. Like I said, I own this on digital. It takes place in a college setting, and I know it ranges a number of seasons, but I know there's that one season where he's running across Harvard. Again, we got the East Coast vibes of that winter setting because it's in the snow when he breaks his ankle, I think. And it's just kind of got that fall season. I know it kind of travels into spring, so you kind of get that fall, winter, spring vibe. So I guess you could watch it anytime in that 3 month. Maybe when you're looking for spring, when you're in the dead of winter, you're really looking for something warm. Honors is another movie that I highly recommend that I'm always kind of in the mood to watch during the fall. One movie that my wife and I watch every November 1st is Coco. Obviously, this has very strong colors of autumn with the leaves and the yellows and the browns. Obviously, takes place on Day of the Dead. So the day after Halloween, my wife and I always watch Coco. It's again kind of like V for Vendetta. It's just the excuse to watch this movie because this is one of my favorite Pixar movies of all times. If you didn't see my Pixar ranking, I will link that in the description below. One of my absolute favorite Pixar movies of all time. And again, it's just an excuse to watch it because it takes place on Day of the Dead. Before I get to my final two, I want to mention a couple other movies that I've been thinking about that I just don't have in my collection as of yet that I'm waiting on getting delivered. But one is one of the very few movies that actually takes place around Thanksgiving, and everybody should know what this one is. It's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, John Candy, Steve Martin, the absolute classic movie. My Steelbook is arriving on, I think it says November 25th, so I'm going to get it in barely under the wire as long as Amazon doesn't delay. I got the Steelbook when it was like reissued on Amazon, and I got it on sale for like $17.99, so I got a great deal. I'm really looking forward to that. As long as I get it in before Thanksgiving, It's one of those movies that I try to watch either the day before or on Thanksgiving. It's not up my wife's alley, so I usually end up watching it alone, but that's fine with me. But obviously, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. How many movies do you know of that actually take place on or have anything to do with Thanksgiving other than maybe just some sort of setting around it? It's obviously got to be on this list. Another, I would say, a lesser known movie is the movie Stuck in Love. And I'm going to put the cover of that one up here in the corner. But this is one of my favorite movies. It's Greg Kinnear. It's one that I used to own, again, on DVD, but still have on digital, so still watch fairly regularly. And I don't actually know what season this one takes place in, but it's always kind of given me that, again, fall vibes. It's just a movie. Greg Kinnear is a divorced dad. He's got his two kids, so it's kind of a love story, but it's with him. There's a little bit of his neighbor is in it. Jennifer Connelly is in it. Kristen Bell's in it. But it's kind of a love story, but told it a little bit differently because there's something going on between Greg Kinnear and Kristen Bell. Jennifer Connelly is in it. She's phenomenal. I highly recommend this movie again. It's another movie that I don't know the season it actually takes place in, but it just gives me those fall vibes. And two more that I don't have in my collection right yet is Big, which I own on digital again. You'll sense a theme with these, but I just haven't gotten it on physical. It's kind of one of those I just keep hoping to find out on a hunt. It's Big. Tom Hanks. It's always been hard for me to kind of place the how long he is out from this movie because it's kind of like starts he gets a job, he gets an apartment in New York, and it's just kind of like, nowadays, like, how long would that take? You'd be waiting months for that kind of thing. Obviously a product of its time. It's a classic movie. It's a lot of fun. I think in the end, kind of with the Zoltar machine, it always reminds me of when the state fair used to come around and me and my family used to go when I was a kid, and that was always in the October November season, and it's always kind of giving me those vibes. And I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I've seen it, but obviously in the end scene when he transforms back into his child self and he's in the big suit, you kind of have the fall leaves and everything. It's just a good movie, fun movie, a lot of fun. Those Tom Hanks comedies were absolutely fantastic. I just watched The Money Pit the other day. Those 80s Tom Hanks movies were great. And the other one that I don't have on a Blu-ray right now because I keep holding out that they're going to make a 4K of is The Village. One of M. Night's early movies. I think this one came out after Signs. I think it was the one right after Signs. So I had a lot of expectations going into this. Obviously, Bryce Dallas Howard, Joaquin Phoenix, great performances all around. But obviously, it really gives you that fall vibe with the setting. And obviously, it's M. Night. Everybody knows now. There's a twist at the end. Still, I think a fantastic movie. A lot of fun. One I actually haven't seen for a while. But when I got the 4Ks of Signs and The Sixth Sense, it was one of those I was like, I'm really hoping they come back and they do The Village, which I know Disney now has the rights to all that stuff. So really still keeping my fingers crossed because I think that would be one that would really benefit with like all the dark colors and the bright reds and the way that I think it would be absolutely fantastic for a 4K. But the last two I'm going to mention, and I'm going to say I didn't do these in order, so this isn't like a top 10 ranking. These, I just kind of picked these off the shelves and kind of tried to put them in some sort of order. The other one I'm going to mention is one I have in the Peanuts collection, and it's a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving because, again, every Thanksgiving, this is the one film that my wife, my sister-in-law, and I can all agree on that has to be watched every Thanksgiving. I know every year we watch it. I mean, it's a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. It's kind of like that's why I got this set, because it's a great pumpkin, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and a Charlie Brown Christmas. Those are three movies we watch every single year without fail. It's kind of like you don't have an excuse to not watch them. So a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, because why not? And the last movie on my list is You've Got Mail. Tom Hanks, again, another Tom Hanks movie. Meg Ryan. Again, I did not intend this when I started. Obviously, I live in the Midwest now, but I grew up on the East Coast for so long, and I lived in Maryland, and I had friends that lived in New York. So I spent a lot of time traveling back and forth on the Amtrak and visiting New York. So this movie, obviously, it talks about, there's nothing like New York in the fall. What was it? Freshly sharpened pencils, and I can't remember the other line. Just a phenomenal movie in general. One of those you can watch every other time because it also travels through spring and fall, or not fall, and winter and stuff like that. So you get all the seasons in this. Definitely those scenes where in the beginning when you're just kind of talking about fall, it just gives me those vibes that, just kind of want to. I am not a cold weather person. Like when summer leaves, I definitely just kind of like to stay in the house, lock the door if I never had to leave, and come out when it's spring and the weather hits 70 again. that would be this guy. So I think when watching the movies, this kind of gives me an excuse to sit on the couch, put in a movie, and watch something about fall. Because to me, the romanticism of fall, for me, is better than the actuality of fall, especially when you experience fall in the Midwest, which we don't really get fall in the Midwest. It really just goes from summer and it just goes right to slush season most of the times, it feels like anyway. The last one on my list is You've Got Mail. So that's some of the movies that are on my list for movies that feel like fall and that I love watching every time around October, November season. I know next month I already plan on doing my favorite Christmas movies of all time, but if there's any other movies that make you feel like fall, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear those. I'd love to add to this list and maybe add a few to my rotation for next year or even this year. So definitely let me know in the comments below. If you watched this far, please give this video a thumbs up, hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all the things that YouTube likes you to do. But I definitely want to hear from you in the comments below. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And as always, collect what you love.